Back down at Lake Lily here in Maitland, Florida again. I recorded some video here yesterday. Shot it with my GoPro. Didn't really come out too great. I had the UV filter that I had on the lens of my GoPro with the resolution setting I ended up using. Kind of vignetted the corners of the frame and darkened everything. And then I had horrible time with my GoPro Studio. Ended up uninstalling it and reinstalling it and downloading some other stuff from Microsoft and then cutting the video in half and and rendering it and exporting it in two separate pieces. So it was kind of a pain. Kind of ended up talking about some things as I recounted some old events that I shouldn't have talked about anyways, just mentioning in passing things that I didn't really need to be talking about. So I decided to do another take on that. But what I wanted to talk about was people going to the Philippines for the first time, especially people wanting to go to Mindanao, wondering if it's safe and whether or not they should go there. I'm heading back over there 4 weeks from today. I'll be somewhere between Atlanta and Tokyo on my way to be with my wife again. Finally, after haven't been with her since the end of December, which is way too long. Every day feels like an eternity, actually. And I'm definitely ready to go back. Personally, when I go to the Philippines, I feel very comfortable over there. I don't feel, ill at ease being surrounded by the locals. If I wanted to just hang out with middle-aged white guys, I could hang out here in Florida, As far as Mindanao goes, obviously there are some security concerns that might not be such an issue in other places, but that's where my wife is, and so that's where I gotta go. And honestly, I really like it over there a lot. It's a very beautiful area, the scenery and so forth. Definitely a beautiful place. The fact that you've got people running around kidnapping and murdering people, of course, isn't so great sometimes. But it's not a bad place to go if you know people and you're there. Especially like with me, I'm there with my wife and her, all her cousins and family and her friends. So it's easier to relax about things sometimes. It's not like I'm just roaming around there on my own, looking like I fell out of the back of an army chopper or something in the middle of terrorist land, Nice breeze there. I don't know how that's blowing across the microphone. But that's definitely an issue. Your security, you have to think about that. It's not paranoid to think about your security. If it's your first time going to the Philippines, you might not necessarily want to go to Mindanao for your first trip there. It's, especially because of the burden on your mind. If you've heard people talking about people being kidnapped and murdered and so forth, that's something you're going to think about. It's going to interfere with your enjoyment while you're there. Unless, of course, you're the kind of person that thinks it adds a little bit of excitement to things. I don't know anybody like that. But I guess that's a problem some of us guys have, that kidnapping would just be more of an adventure for some of us. Break the boredom, That's the problem a lot of us guys have. the day-to-day grind. Just thinking for a little bit, maybe something like that would be more exciting than what we're going through. Of course, that sounds good until you're in a bamboo cage being fed rice with maggots in it and stuff. I used to know a guy that was in the Rangers in Korea. They got kidnapped, or not kidnapped, I should say, captured, and held captive for 30 days in these bamboo cages. All they had was rice and maggots in it. To this day, well, not this day, but like back when I knew him in the 80s, he still wouldn't eat rice. He wouldn't have had much fun in the Philippines not eating rice. But finally they escaped and killed the guards with their bare hands. He got ripped open with a bayonet while they were escaping. So when you're in that situation, maybe it's not so exciting. Oftentimes it's more the hint of danger and the possibility of it that sounds exciting. Once the danger actually strikes, then it's not so much fun, you know. So don't know that I would want to get kidnapped. But it doesn't, you know, the prospect of being somewhere where they talk about that stuff doesn't scare me quite like it does some people. It's definitely something you have to think about, though. In Dipolog, where, you know, like a couple hours away from where my wife lives, the end of last year sometime, there was an Italian ex-priest that got kidnapped. It's maybe not such an issue usually for just the random tourist. Someone like that, I think he owned a pizza shop or something. Any security expert will tell you to vary your routine, not to be, you know, have a predictable schedule. When you own a business and you're in the same place every day at the same hours, it's pretty much impossible to vary your schedule. Anybody who wants to harm you doesn't have any trouble at all putting together a plan because they know where you're going to be and when you're going to be there. For the typical tourist just traveling around, it's a little harder to mount some kind of huge assault on you. But you don't really need a huge assault to kidnap one person, you know. There were a few foreigners and a Filipino that was with them in another place in Mindanao a while back, about a few months ago maybe, that had gotten kidnapped. So it does happen for sure. You just have to be careful and you have to pay attention to what's going on. I was sitting there at Greenwich Pizza in Pagadian City back in December, and you see the stairs, the people walking by on the sidewalk outside through the window. One old guy kind of stopped, checking me out. I made sure to look at him, let him know I was aware of what was going on and that he was watching me. That's about the best you can do sometimes, is to let people know that you are aware. You're not just walking around oblivious and condition white with no kind of clue. For those of you who have any kind of tactical training, you'll know what condition white is. It's basically a condition of total relaxation, being unaware. Anybody who's interested in their personal security will tell you that the only time you should ever be in condition white is when you are asleep. I see my friend the squirrel from my one other video is still here, bouncing around. Guess he likes this spot too. My table just became open here. I think it was the farmer's market here this morning, kind of breaking things down now. Come over here and sit down. Been working out a little bit too much lately. My biceps probably shouldn't be holding the camera up too much. Fortunately, this camcorder has pretty good image stabilization, so kind of keep things steady. Here comes the wind again. But I wouldn't be too worried about going over there as long as you're aware of what's going on. I was talking about the you know, like the color code of awareness. You want to be in condition yellow at the minimum whenever you're awake. That means paying attention, just seeing what's going on around you and knowing what's going on around you. I can see right now I'm aware of what's going on around me because I'm looking at the video monitor on my camcorder. I can see what's going on behind me because I'm watching it through the lens. I can see what's going on in front of me and on the sides of me. That's just kind of an example. You know, you have to notice what's happening, not just see it, but notice it, which a lot of people don't do. If you're walking around a street in some foreign country with your face buried in your cell phone, totally obviously lost, that's not going to be a good situation as far as your personal security, you know. You definitely have to take care. I guess the little girl is feeding the squirrels. They're coming over to me to see if I've got something, I guess. We got squirrels and ducks. All of God's little creatures hanging out here. But you just have to be aware of what's going on and not just be obviously oblivious. Because if people are looking for a target, they're going to look for somebody who is just oblivious. Has no clue, obviously, what's going on around them. You see them all the time walking around, walking through the mall. You see things, you know, on YouTube. Footage that's shared, you know, like the one where the woman was walking through the mall on her phone, texting away, and just fell right in the fountain, you know, tripped right over that wall. It's so easy to do. You can't be like that in a foreign country. If you don't know where you're going, especially if you're somewhere like Mindanao, where you think there might be people who might be interested in hurting you, when you are out in public, you can't just be wandering around obviously lost with no idea what's happening. The biggest tip I would give is when you are going somewhere, even if you don't know exactly where you're going or how to get to your final destination, you need to know where you're going right now. If you're going to this particular store to get directions because somebody told you to get there, hopefully it's someone who actually knew where that point is even and wasn't just telling you something totally crazy to avoid telling you they don't know. You know, you have to have that. That's your first point on the journey. It's like my father used to tell me when I was young, you know, people go out for a Sunday joyride, and that's how people get in crashes, because they're just driving. They're not going anywhere. That's what he used to tell me. Even when you're just going for a drive, be going somewhere. You know where you're going. You have a goal, a destination, and you're focused on that. So you know what's going on. You're not just driving down the street with no clue. That's not a good mindset to have. And it's the same thing when you're walking around the Philippines, especially somewhere like Mindanao, where you know that there is a danger of people being kidnapped and whatever. Have a destination. Know where you're going. Whenever you set out from one point to another, even if you don't, you know, you're just out traveling around, you don't know exactly what your final destination is. When you leave your hotel, at least have some goal where you know where you're going right then. You know, if you're going out for the day and you don't know exactly where your day is going to take you, still at least you know, where's my first waypoint. You know, I'm going to Robinson's Mall or something, and then you're focused on getting to that point, and you have a goal, you have a destination, and that way you can have a plan for getting there instead of just walking around with your head in the clouds or, you know, buried in Google Maps on your phone trying to figure out where you're going. If you're worried about your security, you have to pay attention to things like that. So just stay alert. Obviously, you want to avoid ending up in a situation where anything dangerous is going to happen to you. It's impossible to travel around the world to a foreign country where people occasionally get kidnapped and be 100% totally guaranteed safe. That's impossible. You can't be. It's not going to happen. You're not even guaranteed. You know, I'm taking 3 airplane rides to get just to Manila. I'm leaving here from Orlando, going to Atlanta. Then I'm flying from Atlanta all the way to Narita in Japan. Then I'm flying to Manila from there. Then I got to get through the traffic in Manila to a hotel, get back the next morning to the airport, wait for Cebu Pacific, which is probably going to be late, and fly another flight over to Pagadian City. Then to get where my wife lives, I'm going to end up in a tricycle or a bus. You know, the way those bus drivers are over there, anytime you get on one of those, you could die flying down a hill and losing your brakes. If you're on a tricycle and one of the buses is flying down the hill without their brakes, you know, whatever. There's so many ways that you can get hurt. you're much more likely to die from one of those, everyday kind of events than to be kidnapped by Muslim separatists, So don't overthink it. You have to pay attention to your personal security and be alert, but you can't let it keep you from enjoying life. That doesn't mean that you should discount the possibility of something bad happening, but you don't want to overthink things and give it more importance than it really has. So my advice is go. I know when I first met somebody in Mindanao, I thought, do I want to go there? Because all you hear about is the nasty bad stuff, and until you get there, you don't realize, look, it's, for the most part, it's just people like you and me and everywhere else in the Philippines just trying to make a living and having their everyday lives. The last thing on their mind is worrying about kidnapping someone. Anywhere you go, of course, you've got idiots like that who do that kind of stuff, but I wouldn't let it ruin my day thinking about it, But if it's your first time going to the Philippines, unless you are specifically going to meet somebody that you can trust and that you have known for a while somehow, you might want to stay away from areas that are known to be kind of unsafe, and make sure that you're not out wandering around the back roads of Mindanao, in a van or a bus or a tricycle for hours and hours and hours with no clue what's going on. Even my wife one time, when her mom went to a funeral to visit some of her other relatives in another part of Mindanao, when her mom had her phone turned off, and my wife couldn't get hold of her for a while, and she was really worried. So even the people that live there know that there are security concerns. But just pay attention, don't do anything stupid, and you have to realize that there's always some kind of risk in life. Even just to get to where I am right now in life, there are hundreds of times I could have died. Times I came really, really close to dying. And anybody else, by the time you reach this age, you've seen so many people that relatives, friends, people you went to school with and so forth, that have died from so many different things, traffic accidents, strange diseases, cancer, so many things that can kill you. And once you get to a certain point, you've seen a lot of death, you've seen a lot of people die, and you've outlived a lot of people. So you got to be careful, you got to think about your future and your safety, but just enjoy your life. Go to the Philippines. You won't regret it at all. Unless you get kidnapped. And even then, who knows, like I say, maybe you won't. Assuming you get released, or you manage to escape somehow, then you can write a best-selling book about it, and that'd be even better, see? You gotta look for the silver lining in your clouds.